Hello guys.
Welcome to week 11. We are studying Future is Now, and the topic for today is steam machines.
So what is this called here on the picture?
So think about where you have seen this and what is this called. Okay. So that image you saw was actually about an assembly line. And before we had assembly lines, we had steam machines. So anything that relates to machinery and robotics and the revolution is what we will study today. So the purpose is we will learn about steam machines to be able to explain the importance of historical methodology in making a simple study of historical events and create works of visual art in the form of diagrams to convey thoughts or stories about various incidents together with drawing triangles.
All right. The vocabulary, the first one, industrial. So that's like a factory. It's like where they produce the material. You have all the robots and all the machines.
So the second word is revolution. So whenever there is a change of something, it is known as a revolution. Okay. So the earth also revolves around the sun. And so because of that revolution, you have 4 seasons. Now in this case, it is about industrial revolution. So the changes in the industry is what this word actually implies.
Okay, the second last, a factory. So a factory is like a company where they produce all of the material. Let's say I have a toy factory. So we produce a toy and then we send this to the shops.
And the last word is goods. So the material the raw material used in the factory is the good, and the final product is also the goods. So all the things that are produced or used to manufacture are goods. Okay, so here we have a picture of machines making chocolate bars. And the first industrial revolution began in 1700 when people stopped making things by hands and began using machines. So almost 300 years ago.
So here, a video, funny video about Charlie Chaplin, how they made it for 70 years ago.
Okay, so don't skip the video. It's very informative and it's very funny as well. But you get to see the assembly line, and he goes inside the machine as well. So try and take notes if you can.
Section 5, give it a limit.
So here, just pause the video and just read whatever you can. Okay, we give you some pictures of the first, second, third, and the fourth industrial revolutions. Once again, pause the video, and when you finish reading, you can move on to the next slide. So here we have for you basically the 4 industrial revolutions. The first one happened in 1700s when people started using steam. You see, when water is heated, it becomes steam and it creates a lot of pressure. So using that pressure, they are able to use machines, and that is how industries first started. The next step in 1800s, they used the steam to produce electricity. A lot of companies started using coal to start burning coal, and they were producing electricity using that. And because of that, they were able to build machines and assembly lines. And then in the 1990s, those assembly lines got the help of computers. And so you had the computing industrial revolution. And a lot of the machines and the robots became automatic. And today now we are going into the 4th industrial revolution, where everything is artificial intelligence. There's a lot of robotics, and we don't know what the future has in store for us.
So here a bit more vocabulary, English and Thai. We have first industry, industrial, and industrialization. So it's hard work, raw manufacturing, and economic activity. About industry, the process of developing more industry.
And the next one is manufacture. So manufacture is the verb, and so when you make something, that essentially is manufacturing.
And the last one, revolution or revolutionary. A sudden and complete change. And about revolution, describing a sudden and complete change. So here's some invention from the first industrial revolution.
So you have the first modern battery. Actually, if you go to the extreme left-hand side, there's a small little so you can see there's coils around a wooden chamber, and that was the first modern battery. Okay. And then using steam, they were able to build trains, and they were able to figure out how to use gas lighting. They used steam to make the tin can, and they were able to make one of the first cameras, raincoat, and so some of the inventions from the first industrial revolution right here.
So from 1760 to 1840 was the manufacturing. So the industrial revolution meant that the manufacturing and making of goods, things you want to buy, went from small shops and homes to large factories.
So what happened was people used to manufacture things inside their home. So even today in Thailand, you can see the carpenter makes things at home, the shoemaker makes shoes at home. If you go to Bangkok, you see the big industries. So in the first revolution, everything moved from the house to big warehouses and companies. And we have a few pictures for you here. And what it also did was, if you have so many goods and products, you have to transport them. So transportation first used to happen through horses, carriages, and boats. And from there, it started moving on to steam-powered engines and automobiles. Okay. So here again, we have a few pictures for you. Next, we go to the second industrial revolution. So this happened after 1840s, and the most important change in the second industrial revolution was the use of the chemical industry. So oil and natural gas, and people started using coal to power their companies and factories and produce electricity. Okay. So if we go ahead, we will see the second important part was telecommunications and electricity. This here is a telegraph, so I can send messages to anyone across the world using Morse code. Okay. And then of course from this you had the telephone and electric lines as well. Okay. And if you go one more step ahead, you see that there were a lot of steel manufacturing started during this time. So bridges and railroad and all of that started taking off after the second industrial revolution.
The second industrial revolution happened just a few years after the first revolution. It was as big of a leap forward as its predecessor. Surely you cannot imagine a world without electricity, but at the time of the second revolution, this was the norm. In short, it played the most important role in evolving the technology we see today. Hello and welcome to another episode of Endless Info. Alexander Graham Bell began researching methods to transmit several telegraph messages over a single wire, which led to the invention of the telephone back in 1876 and went on to create Bell Telephone Company in 1877. Before electricity was introduced, many industries were powered by steam engines. 1831 is the year that scientist Faraday discovered an electric current, which soon became revolutionary. He discovered that the current was produced inside the wire coil when a magnet, that was placed near the coil of course, was moved. Discovering this electrical current was a breakthrough within the industries, and by 1832, an electrical generator had been built. Being able to have a new, improved source of energy was reassuring for not only workers' lifestyle, but the way that everyone lived their lives. The first oil corporation, which was created to develop oil found floating on water near Titusville in Pennsylvania, was the Pennsylvania Rock Oil Company of Connecticut. George H. Bezel, a New York lawyer, and James Townsend, a New Haven businessman, became interested when Dr. Benjamin Silliman of Yale University analyzed a bottle of the oil and said it would make an excellent light. Bezel and several friends purchased land near Titusville to locate the oil there. They employed an expert soil driller to supervise drilling operations, and on the 27th of August, 1859, they struck oil at a depth of 69 feet. So far as is known, this was the first time that oil was tapped at its source. Among the most influential and the far most reaching innovations of the second revolution was the internal combustion engine. It was basically powered by gas and air. Jean-Joseph Étienne Lenoir, a French engineer, built an internal combustion engine that could operate continuously. Lenoir's engine used coal gas, which was made by processing coal as fuel. 3 years later, in 1879, a German engineer, Nicholas Otto, developed another successful engine known as the Otto cycle. Some historians credit Otto as being the true inventor of the internal combustion engine. Sir Henry Bessemer invented the Bessemer process, which allowed the mass production of steel, increasing the scale and speed of production of this vital material. The availability of cheap steel allowed building larger bridges, railroads, skyscrapers, and ships. Other important steel products were steel cable, steel rod, sheet steel, which enabled large high-pressure boilers, and high-strength steel for machinery, which enabled much more powerful engines, gears, and axles. With large amounts of steel, it became possible to build much more powerful guns, tanks, armored fighting vehicles, and naval ships. When we talk about the second industrial revolution, there are a lot of inventions in that era. Modern bicycle in 1876, pneumatic tire in 1887, the first automobile in 1886, the steam turbine in 1884, and lots more. The second industrial revolution was in many ways the continuation of the first. In many industries, there was direct continuity, yet it differed from it in a number of crucial aspects. What was learned in these years prepared the way for many more industrial revolutions to come. Thank you for watching Endless Info.
Here we have arrived to the third industrial revolution. It's the automation of assembly lines with robots.
So first, in 1950, 1960, you used to have people who would assemble the cars, but then after 1970, Germany and Japan started manufacturing robots, and all the assembly lines became completely automatic. So that was the main turning point in the third industrial revolution. Okay, so if you go ahead, and then finally, now we're entering the fourth industrial revolution, and this will have artificial intelligence, data science, cloud computing. So all this data gathering will then be used and to provide data to the machines and the robots for manufacturing. Okay, so just have a look at this video, and we'll see you on the other side of the video.
What is Industry 4.0, and what does it mean for you? Technology is driving change across all areas of society. Not only do we increasingly use it and even rely on it in our personal lives, we also find our workplaces digitally evolving, with more and more processes now being undertaken using technology. This change is known as the Fourth Industrial Revolution, or Industry 4.0. Industry 4.0 will see many tasks that were once performed by us now being automated. With the collection and analysis of real-time data, artificial intelligence, and the ability for all components of a production line to talk to each other, production can be really efficient and personalized according to customer needs. But what does this mean for us? With increased automation, our time will be freed up for concentrating on more complex tasks. We will need a workforce who are capable of building, programming, and developing these technologies, but also making sure we are applying them to our lives in an ethical way. There are core skills that we can offer that technology cannot replace. The human touch is going to be incredibly important, ensuring effective communication, problem solving, and supporting change management in this digital environment. There will also be a greater need for joint working across disciplines, creating new innovations. The future job market will be looking for graduates with an open mind to explore the unknown future possibilities. We will all need to develop our skills in order to embrace, adapt to this ever-changing environment. What will you do to make sure you are ready and have the right skills to thrive in the fourth industrial revolution?
Industrial evolution. So you have the four stages: the first one, second one, third one, and the fourth. So draw a diagram and write about the first to the fourth industrial revolution in triangles. Important to do it in triangles.
Okay, so think about steam, think about electricity, think about chemicals, think about robots, think about artificial intelligence, okay? And use all the information from the videos to make this thinking tool.
So what did you learn from this lesson? And as always, write the vocabulary in English and write the meaning in Thai.
And after completing the exercises or watching the videos, make your thinking tool, draw your thinking tool on an A4 size paper, and this would involve the four triangles, and bring it back when you come back to school. Okay.
See you for the next video.